Welcome back, comrades. This Utopian community series. Here we are. All I have to do is try to finish this off. Here we are. Kingdom of 5. The band Glory. One thing I'm happy about today is Jeff Sessions getting kicked out of the DEA. I'm happy about that. I'm really happy about that. Because he is a dictator who supports nothing but Big Pharma. Time of the Kingdom of 5. Oops. The society for the trade, it relied primarily on bartering. And overproduction. It relied mostly on overproduction. It is a legend of the astral hammer. And Hitler was a really greedy asshole. By the way, sometime within the next couple of weeks, I'm probably gonna hit 300 followers on Instagram. In the legend of the astral hammer. That is a song by Glory Hammer. The story of Glory Hammer, it spans over the course of about 1,000 years. It starts off in present-day Scotland, in the town of Dundee. In Space 1992, Rise of the Chaos Wizards takes place about 1,000 years into the future. The main antagonist of the story is Sorcerer Zargothrax. And the legend of the astral hammer. Kingdom of Fife. The album Space 1992, Rise of the Chaos Wizards. The setting of the story, like where it takes place, intergalactic great empire. For the king we will ride through the dark galactic skies. When the chaos wizards rise, now the universe will burn, evil sorcerer. Space 1992, Rise of the Chaos Wizards. Trying to take meat away from a cat is like trying to take a gun away from a terrorist. They tend to have a death grip on their guns. The terrorists in the Middle East, they tend to have a death grip on their guns. Astral hammer. trying to put your cat on a vegan diet can lead to fatal results. Cats will literally die from malnutrition. Like, if you take meat away from a cat, they'll die from malnutrition. It's not just one cat that's a meat eater. All cats are obligate carnivores. The legend of the astral and the legend of the astral hammer. And the legend of the astral hammer. The song I was humming is called Warrior by Halloween. Let's talk about the one-way trip to Mars for a second. What we need to do is research on how we can create artificial gravity on the ship. That's one of the constraints we need to know about. before we could build a ship to Mars. The constraint with open borders, for one of the reasons, some of it's related to political reasons. Which is why China often repatriates North Korean defectors back to North Korea. After Jeff Bezos was ordered to resign by Cheesepoth, that could bring up the gates to legalizing marijuana. The reason why marijuana is illegal in the Middle East is for religious reasons. The biggest reason why marijuana is illegal in much of the Middle East is religious. It's the same reason why gay marriage in the Middle East is often illegal, possibly lead to the death penalty over in the Middle East. Let's talk about fascist country in my novel. Let's talk about the fascist country's end goals. One of their end goals would be a million-year-long Reich. And enter global domination. Another end goal they would have would be a mass extinction that is worse than the Permo-Triassic. How would they do that? They'd push researchers to the limits, find ways to push planets closer or away from the sun. You know, it's not just like one thing. Their end goal, as how they destroy all life on Earth, they bring the Earth as close as they can to the sun. Basically, they would turn the Earth into a lava world, ultimately. But first, they would turn the Earth into a prison camp, literally, for the undesirables. The prisoners would often be forced to burn a shit ton of fossil fuels, even if they don't want to. In the fascist country, uttering solar energy would be enough to get you executed. Or clean energy would be enough to get you executed in the fascist country. Not only would they deny the Holocaust, they'd also deny the Holodomor, which is a famine that happened under the orders of Stalin, and also the Armenian genocide. If greenhouse gases ended up fighting back, the prisoners ended up dying, their next step would be to force researchers towards... push researchers into... force them into research. The researchers would be pushed to their limits. Physically and mentally to their limits. How are they gonna drive global warming? Burning fossil fuels would be one of those. Another method they would do is intensive animal farming. AKA factory farming. Factory farming is its actual name is called intensive animal farming. That is its actual name. Once the Earth has become desert, from all the global warming, they'd evolve to become carnivores. Like, one thing, and then after the global domination, in this story, they take over the world, communists are left with no choice but to flee off to Mars. The Sixth International would be forced to flee off to Mars and start a new life there. Along with the Social Democrats and Democratic Socialists. And the fascists in my novel, not only would they deny climate change and its existence, they'd call global warming a good thing. For me, I'd see global warming as one of the worst things we can do. Their end goals would be to drive the Earth from a self-cooling planet to a self-warming planet. Literally, their end goal would be to turn the Earth into Venus. using any method available. One thing they would think about doing is bringing the moon really close to Earth to where tidal forces heat up the planet even more. Because, tidal forces have an effect on temperature, too. Because look at Europa, the moon of Jupiter. Its orbit's actually an egg-shaped. It's actually shaped sort of like a football. An American or an Australian football. Like when it reaches its closest approach to Jupiter, the moon becomes an egg. The tidal forces heat up warm up the planet a bit. Another thing they would do is make the atmosphere much denser, too, by... They would try building a shell around the Earth to make the atmosphere denser. Like, it would be so dense that the atmosphere would be so dense that ice would end up melting from the pressure. This looks good. This community would be about self-sustainability. Oops. Oops. Wrong mode. In the fascist country, those who uttered the term man-made climate change in the fascist country would actually end up getting executed. In the fascist country, they would selectively... Those who are able to go vegetarian, they'd actually end up being forcibly sterilized. Possibly even killed. One thing the fascists would do would be force simply migrate those who are not undesirable into the middle of the desert, where they would live the rest of their lives. My harvest output for the sugarcane, it is slowly growing. It is slowly growing. The reason why most Southerners will probably end up voting for a Republican is because a lot of Republicans are very religious. Same thing, some Democrats are very religious too. Sorry about that stuttering. The reason for the glowstone, even though sugarcane don't need light to grow, I do it so it'll be easier for me to see. If that's what you're asking. In the fascist country, it'd be so totalitarian that people would, like, if they were to address a leader, they would have to address him by the Lord. Those who utter the name of the Lord would be smacked with execution. No, it's not that sissy American capital punishment either. It's not that sissy American capital punishment either. They'd use something really brutal. Yes, that'd be a Monty Python reference. Like, there was this scene in The Life of Brian, which there was this old man named Matthias, who was found guilty by the elders of the town of uttering the name of their lord. The name of the Lord in Life of Brian was actually Jehovah. This piece of halibut is good enough for Jehovah. Blasphemy! He said it again! Just say Jehovah. I'm warning you! If you say Jehovah once more! Right, who do that? No one is to stone anyone until I blow this whistle. Do you understand? Make this clear, even if they do say Jehovah. And this, by the way, this is it for this video. Don't forget to leave a like if you like this video, dislike if you disliked it, subs if you loved it, and as always, share this with your comrades on social media. As always, thank you for watching, stay tuned for more, and peace out.